You tell them to turn it on.
I got you.
Hey, welcome in. It's Real Red Reaction, presented to you by your friends at Currency, Chris Schmidt, Will Wilson, Connor Clark, Tim Bob, Kit Smiller, stream only, and you can see us and comment across all platforms with ESPN Lincoln, also on KFOR Twitter and KFOR's Facebook, 96 Kicks Facebook, ESPN Lincoln Facebook, and ESPN Lincoln's Twitter. Also KFOR's Twitter. Fellas, a kick that looked good, and then it broke left to send this ball game to overtime. Nebraska falls to Georgia Southern 45-42, and this likely the end of the Scott Frost era. You have October 1st looming. You needed metrics to hit, guys, and Nebraska 1-2 heading into Oklahoma. And I tell you what, just a gut-wrenching night for the Husker Black Shirts. The defense really had no answers, got a couple of stops in the second half, but it was too little too late. 3 minutes, 40 seconds left as Clay Helton completes the hat trick for the Sun Belt, knocking off A&M, knocking off Notre Dame, and then taking the Big Red Pelt. Guys, reaction, shock, awe, disbelief, or deep in your gut, did you feel or see this one coming? Bryant is in with his vote, if he were Trev Alberts, saying let the man go. And it's another in a long line of one-score losses. Nebraska's offense did enough to win this football game. The defense got a couple of turnovers. Travis says he gone, and that's the sentiment. Jim Bob, you seen a lot of football. Oklahoma comes in, the old lead balloon as Nebraska could not get it done tonight. Nebraska falls. Very few pressures, a little bit better heat, but not good enough on the quarterback guys in the second half. But overall, through one half of play, Van Treese with, I think it was 23 dropbacks, guys, and just two hurries. Nebraska's offense really.
I was going to say 7 of 7 on third down conversions. I mean,
yeah.
And 2 of 2 on fourth down conversions. I mean, the defense is very easy to scheme against. You play soft coverage against the outside. You take what they get. They'll give you the inside cut anytime you want to. And I think, the linebackers, I think they certainly missed Heinrich at that linebacker spot tonight. And it seemed like they were out of position on a lot of those long runs. But, gosh, this quarterback looked like he was thrown against 7-on-7.
Against air.
Yeah. I mean.
Against air.
I mean, gosh, what a night. I mean, offensively, you ran the football. I mean, you ran the football 3 times on a 1st and 20 and picked up the first down. I'm thinking, well, you can run the football, but you can't stop anybody. And I guarantee you can scheme against this offense. Northwestern did it. You certainly saw last week the Fighting Hawks did it, and tonight Van Blees, a 6-year senior, super senior, picked them apart, and even without one of the receivers who went down with a knee injury. So I don't know what you do. I thought the defensive line's getting no push up front, and then the linebackers are out of position on the run game. So it's crazy.
We want your reaction. Can find us on KFOR 96 Kicks, ESPN Lincoln Facebook outlet, YouTube TV. Also, we are streaming Real Red Reaction, presented to you by your friends at Currency, and KFOR Twitter and ESPN Lincoln Twitter as well. Will, what's your thoughts, reaction to this? Also, Connor, jump in after Will. But quite frankly, it was about big plays. You had the run game, which you have Georgia Southern not known for 13 yards a pop, 13 a pop. You had runs of 27, 47, and 67. You had pass plays of 20, 24, 37. You're working on double digits, not quite, of big plays given up by the Nebraska defense. Wasn't good enough. and it's not been good enough this year.
No, it was rough, man. And I'll tell you what, first game I've been to in like 4 years. How about that? What a nice surprise that was. Just
You hammered the overs though, so you're feeling a little bit okay.
It hit in the first half, so everybody's loving that. It was very disappointing. One thing that I was very mad at is the missed tackling. The first defender to the ball is missing that tackle every single time, and it just gave them so much on offense. Very disappointing. Georgia Southern, they may be a good football team, but a team like that you can't be losing to at home in a type of season like this. I'm with you, Schmitty. I don't see Frost being here too much longer. Just very disappointing. We got out-coached, and it was just a very bad showing tonight.
The question isn't if, but when.
Yeah.
If you're Trev Alberts, do you wait till October 1st, or do you make a move ahead of that buyout going down to $7.5 million? Connor, your thoughts? You were hammering wings and sweating out the first half with a lot of Nebraska fans. You are hunkered down in the Connor Clark bunker, my friend. And listen, you just didn't want to go there against a Sun Belt team and say, all right, it's losable. But absolutely, it felt losable. You have Bryant chiming in on our feed here on the live stream. I've backed him until now. You've had a lot of former players, Connor, get loose on Twitter tonight, and they were done. And they were done in the first half before this game came to a really bitter end with a missed field goal.
Well, yeah, and you talk about being out-coached. There was no answer on the defensive side of the ball. And no matter what Clay Helton and his team threw at you, you couldn't find anything that would slow them down. And I'm just looking at the stats here. 642 yards of total offense for Georgia Southern. And I know Elijah's going to have some strong words here in just a second. But it was just I don't know what it is. I don't know how to feel. Obviously, it's when is Frost gone rather than if. It just depends on, hey, is that money drop off that valuable to you? Can you afford that? Because, knowing Nebraska, you probably can't afford that. And I understand the argument, well, that just kind of defeats the purpose of bringing him back altogether, financially at least. It's just a really shocking situation. I think that this game is to me, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I expected Nebraska to blow Georgia Southern out of the water, but I mean, I did not expect the defense to be non-existent, if you will, with their showing tonight. And you can't fault the offense that much, really. I mean, they did their thing. They had a
didn't turn it over.
They didn't turn it over. A boatload of points. And it seems like that was always the issue. The defense was fine, and the offense was the thing that was the issue. Now it's flip-flopped, and there's even more questions and probably a new head coach looming.
I mean, you have 575 yards of offense if you're in Nebraska, and you got 2 turnovers. You think that should be enough to win the ball game. If I tell you 575 yards, Casey Thompson, they're 3 of, 9 of 13 on conversions. No turnover. I mean, that's a winning formula, and you still can't get it done.
It's a rare case of Nebraska winning the turnover battle, as you mentioned, Tim Bob, and losing, because the history has been Nebraska's always been on the wrong side of the turnover battle. Their margin has been historically not very good in the past decade or so. So that's an alarming thing, too, because you win the turnover battle and you still can't come out on top. There's just a lot of bad things that we saw here tonight, and it's hard to have really any optimism going forward after this game.
On the bright side, Elijah, you look great. What's going on with you?
Feeling pretty dejected on a night like tonight, guys. That's as simple as it is for me. And this is not me coming in off any liquor whatsoever. I've been 100% sober all night because after that first drive, I saw how this game was going.
Yeah, right.
No, there's no sugarcoating on my part. No alcohol for me tonight. I'm going to come in cool-headed because I saw how this game was going, and I knew what we'd be talking about tonight. And what we were talking about tonight, I texted to Schmitty after the first drive. I said, Nebraska's not winning this football game. You can ask Schmitty about that. You can go back and check his texts. It was clear from the first drive. It was clear from the first drive. It was clear from the first drive that this Husker football team did not come to play tonight. Their defensive line, their offensive line is not up to snuff, not only for a Big Ten program, I've been saying that for a while, it's not up to snuff as a college football program in general. This could be, combined between the offensive and defensive line, the worst lines of scrimmage Nebraska football has had in their history. They got blown out of the water completely by Georgia Southern tonight. And if you're Scott Frost in year 5 and you didn't learn in your first year in the Big Ten, or your second year in the Big Ten, or your third year in the Big Ten, or your fourth year in the Big Ten, that you're not going to make it as a college football coach in a Power 5 conference without an offensive or defensive line, and you've done nothing to fix it aside get a couple guys in the transfer portal that aren't even good enough to make it on the field, you deserve to go. Brennan just commented in, these lines are softer than the dumps my dog took after eating half a pork butt, and it is 100% true. They're terrible. Man. They're terrible. Funny. It's as simple as that, and it's a fireable offense for Scott Frost that he has not been able to fix this issue.
Matthew chimes in. Let's pass the hat for the additional $7 million and give him his walking papers. Easy right now to be angry, and it's been ongoing. And I think different phone calls this week on Hail Varsity with listeners that the reason they're upset is because it was supposed to go back to the Nebraska way with a guy who won and brought home a championship the Nebraska way with physicality, with toughness, with grit, with fundamentals, with excellence on both sides of the football. Rock, our old buddy from Wisconsin, defenseless, zero defense, utterly helpless. They allowed 500 yards to a pop gun Northwestern. Good God, it's come to this. So you're welcome to chime in, as it's a stream only here with Real Red Reaction, and it's presented to you by Currency. For all of your equipment financing needs, Currency. And you can watch us also on the Real Red Reaction YouTube channel. Looking at some of the numbers, I mean, it came down to not only the explosive plays by Georgia Southern, but also their conversions. Nebraska has been unable, Tim Bob, Connor, Elijah, and Will, to get off the field throughout. You look at time of possession against Northwestern. You look at time of possession in the first half by North Dakota. You look at what Georgia Southern was able to do, 9 of 13 on third down, 2 of 2 on fourth down. A team that doesn't run it. Back in the day when they're cranking out 1AA national championships with the old ham bone option, they sure as hell ran the football, but they ran for 233 yards, 7.8 a carry. There's footage from 10-11, Ty Robinson trying to rally the troops, losing his mind a little bit in a good way on the sidelines, but Nebraska still had no answer. Let's spend 2 seconds here on Casey Thompson, his ball game tonight. 300-yard passing game, was good in the run game. Picked his spots, had the hat trick for touchdowns. He was nice. Nebraska's ground attack, very solid. They almost ran for 260 yards. A couple of different drives. They looked out of rhythm. But overall, Nebraska did everything they needed to, except to make a field goal, right, and get some help defensively. Offensively, you score 42 points, you should win the football game. Dave chimes in here on Real Red Reaction, and he makes a comment. This defense is so tough to watch. And guys, it's a situation where they get rocked on the line of scrimmage, and then a lot of times the first guy misses the tackle. Nebraska penalty-wise wasn't good either tonight. Some costly penalties. Defense, I should say, the offensive line, pretty decent in keeping Casey clean.
Yeah,
for the most part. Yeah. But this just comes in. And listen, it comes back down to development in recruiting, and from day one, you go through the roster right now, and Nebraska does not have many high school recruits still on this roster or contributing on the field. You've got a Ty Robinson, you've got a Garrett Nelson, right? But if you do have guys that you recruited not from the portal, but from the high school ranks, what happens is they play way too early and they're not ready to go up against grown men or very good programs, or even programs in Georgia Southern's example in transition right now between offenses. But I guess a fitting loss. Fair. and you gotta. I'm just gonna say for 1 second. You got to feel for Scott Frost because he's a guy who came home. He's a guy who came back. He's a guy who was torn about doing it because he had great things rolling in Central Florida, and he came back to try and resurrect this program. There's been no official announcement or word from Trev Alberts. We'll get post game sent to us from Meg and, of course, JP from 96 Kicks. So we will have post game comments here in a little bit. But it's just you have a fan base that's exhausted. What was supposed to happen didn't happen with Nebraska going back to being the old Nebraska, and Scott was in charge of that, and he's failed at doing so. He's 1-2 this season, but overall just hasn't gotten it done in close ball games, which is the name of the game of the Big Ten. But this is his second G5 loss. If you think about it, they lost to Troy back in 2018. Just too many missed opportunities for Nebraska. And Brennan chimes in here that this may hit home with the reference here, but that's Dave. Excuse me.
We're getting a lot of comments.
We are. We will get to all of them. Where was that?
Right up there.
Keep
going up. There you go.
Thank you. We'll do that. We'll get your comments read. Please keep submitting. But Brennan, Scott Frost is the buddy you refer to a job. He shows up. Everyone's excited. He's not fulfilling his duties and hiring. The hiring agent reaches out and asks, "What's up with this referral?" You make the excuses. They kept him on only to have a reoccurring pattern year after year. Time to cut bait. We will send it over to Elijah. Elijah, a little bit more analysis on your end, and if and when Scott is given his walk-in papers, Trev Alberts has got to go find the next Nebraska head football coach. If and when that decision comes down by Trev Alberts, we knew it was going to be a tightrope for Scott. You needed to be 3-1 going into the Indiana game, fellas. He's 1-2 with Oklahoma looming. It's going to be a 180. I mean, Nebraska's going to be 1-3 heading into Indiana, and Nebraska fans are just at their wits' end here with what they're seeing and with what they're experiencing, and it's anything but physical football on the line.
And to your point, Oklahoma is looming next week, a national television game, and everyone in the country will be laughing at Nebraska if Scott Frost is still the coach around here next week, and recruits see that. I mean, everybody sees that. It's the fact that Nebraska is a joke if they decide to keep Scott Frost around. Buy out this, buy out that. I don't want to be the angry guy who's yelling at nothing because I understand the dollars and cents matter in a place like Nebraska, but also at the same time, you have a huge new Big Ten media rights deal coming down in less than a year where you're going to more than double the amount of TV revenue you have coming in. And if you aren't willing to let go of I'll say it, a guy who is clearly a cancer to your football team, he can do anything to a point where he's improving the team. He can't fix the issues within his team. It's the same result week after week after week, and it's time to give somebody else a chance. I mean, you have a guy on your coaching staff in Mickey Joseph, who is your associate head coach. That's why he's the first name I go to. And based on what he has done in his coaching career, I think he deserves a 9-game tryout to be the Husker head coach. It's time to give somebody a chance to be the interim, to give them the tryout for next season, because it's clear through 40-something games at Nebraska, Scott Frost is not the answer, and Scott Frost doesn't have any answers. Whenever he gets up in a post-game press conference or a Monday press conference, his answer is, well, whenever it pops around here, it's really going to pop. That doesn't strike me as a guy who knows what the issues are within his team and a guy who knows how to fix them. So if you don't have a guy at the helm who knows what the problems are and how to fix those problems, it's time to move on to somebody else who maybe has an idea. If Mickey Joseph isn't the guy, so be it. You have an offseason to hire a head coach, but it's time to give somebody, again, I don't have any inside information. I don't know who the interim head coach is going to be, but Mickey Joseph's associate, that's the first place my mind goes, and it's time to give somebody a 9-game tryout because Scott Frost clearly is not the guy here. And I don't think there's any doubt within Husker Nation, from the administration to the fans, that Scott Frost is not working out here.
Here's the thing. Mickey can keep the recruiting prospects together. Bill Bush can keep, with his history, from a recruiting. There's guys that have multi-year deals that were brought in this year, and for the most part, let's look at the new hires. Right, you look at Bush, you look at Applewhite, you look at Mickey. If you're a prospective new coach coming in, and you're going to look at that and what's looked good this year. Well, Mickey's got history, really talented at recruiting and developing. Bill Bush has done the same, right? And then you have a guy in Applewhite that is a rising star, and out of the gate, his running backs have performed. Defensively, Travis Fisher is working with a thin back four. They've been problematic, but you look at a guy like Buford, who's super young in this program. God, he was a star tonight. 2 takeaways again, and tackling's been the issue. Whoever you bring in next, when and if that move is made by Trev, you got to get back to fundamentals. Tim Bob, and I'll let you comment on this, and then Connor, you follow, bud, and we'll jump in too. And then you got to get back to development. It's got to be a program like Iowa, like Wisconsin, like Minnesota, like your neighbors in the West that are really good at finding kids, getting them seasoned, and then letting them go flourish when they're ready to do so.
I would say, and again, I'm going to push back here a little bit because I do see some improvement. I mean, that offensive output the last couple of weeks, and even the first half of Northwestern,
every game,
we haven't seen.
Every game
is better. I mean, they figured something out with their running game, and they've got some talent. They've got a 1-2 punch. You got, a running game, and you're not scared of 3rd and 8. I mean, even 3rd and 12 isn't out of the question. You got some drops tonight that kind of hurt the quarterback, but overall Thompson's playing well. So the offensive line's playing better. Shenander was the hero last year, right? I mean, he was the thing that kept it together. So we didn't get stupid overnight. There's clearly some deficiencies, and it's on that offense.
No, he just lost his 6 years.
Right. I mean, he doesn't have that defensive line that he has. Right. Exactly. He lost his super seniors. He's short a linebacker. Heinrich my son saw Heinrich play in high school, okay, at Burke. He was the athletic trainer there. Well, he said he's the most instinctive defensive or football player he's ever seen. He just has a nose for the football. You were missing that tonight. It was quite evident in the running game that he was not there to fill those holes. So, they didn't get stupid overnight. Now, I don't disagree with you that I'm always close. It's the same old story. We're this close, is not an excuse anymore, right? And he needs to go. But I don't think that the season is a waste. Maybe Mickey Joseph needs his opportunity in a 9-game, but I do see improvement. On the offensive line, and the offensive output is outstanding. Iowa was horrible. I mean, I haven't seen anybody that Nebraska is going to play. Wisconsin lost to Washington State today. So there's nobody ahead of them that's like, other than obviously Penn State and Michigan, right? And so they've got a chance to have some wins in the Big Ten and maybe even, have a decent record in the end. But obviously, we've set this up that, you got to be at this point by October 1st. Okay. But I think the team is improving, I guess is my point, except on the defensive side of the ball, and they're missing some key people.
Offense and special teams have been better. Why'd you want to jump in?
One step forward, one step back, and that's been the story of Scott Frost's tenure. If not 1 step forward, 2 steps back at times. And I like Tim Bob's point. This season is not lost yet. It's not over. There's still 9 games left. But I think, and I'll keep it short and sweet here, if you keep Scott Frost as your head coach past this game, this performance here, you are admitting to your fan base, to your boosters, to the players on the team that you have given up on this season, and there's no hope for the season if you do keep Scott Frost as your head coach. That's my take.
I think by year 5, you shouldn't be losing these games.
You should have. Listen, guys, he had an opportunity in 2019 to make changes at running back, at offensive line, at offensive. Well, he made a change at offensive coordinator, right? And he went and hired Lubick, right? And Lubick's more of an analyst. That's what he's doing now. And then you could have gone after Mickey Joseph. You could have gone after a different offensive line coach. You could have gone after a different running backs coach. and you didn't. And that's what this comes down to is most of what he brought with him from Central Florida. And Scott Frost, and we'll hear the audio here in a little bit, but Frost, after the ball game, quoting Coach Frost, certainly did that tonight. I thought we'd perform a lot better than that. Said that Nebraska, quote, out schemed on one side of the ball. So
Yeah.
Scott's been good at driving the old bus over people, quite frankly, after these type of performances. And well, there's hey, Chins, is this your stop? Let me help you out. Oops, I'm not going to slow down. Connor, a quick take from you here. Trev Alberts has your phone number, makes a phone call. Connor Clark says, okay, here's my recommendation, Trev.
It's tough to say right now, and I know there's talk about, okay, maybe Mickey Joseph, you go somewhere else, you hire guys such as Urban Meyer, which I personally think is not a good idea.
No, hell no,
I mean,
hell no.
I agree with you, Tim Bob. I agree with you wholeheartedly, and it's a tough situation. And going back to what Elijah said, I mean, if he keeps saying, when it pops around here, it's going to pop in a press conference, that doesn't mean anything. And I don't think anything that was said or can be said in tonight's press conference is not, at least from Scott Frost, is not going to hold very much weight. I think this is a fireable offense. And I think you tweeted it actually, Elijah, earlier in the night, but or somebody did, but this is kicking an onside kick while you're up 11, but not going for it on 4th and inches when you're down 7. That's just kind of been the sum up of the Scott Frost era. It really has. And you mentioned the 1 foot forward, the 2 steps back. It's just, you cannot have consistency on all 3 phases of the game, and you're not good at developing your players. You don't know how to acknowledge what the problems are. And a part of that makes me think you don't even know what the problems are within your program. And that's a huge red flag. We've obviously seen that in between the lines the past 5 years. And it's not getting to the point. It's gotten to the point where we can't have this anymore. And at a certain point, enough is enough. And things have to change. You're muted.
Can't hear you, Elijah.
Yeah.
You're still muted.
Sorry. Are
Hey,
you guys
you're
tired
muted.
as Husker fans out there? I know. I'm not now.
Okay.
Are you tired, though, of seeing Georgia Southern tweet out, "Aw, shucks," with a picture of Freedom the Eagle tweeting a piece of corn? Are you tired of that? Everyone dunks on Nebraska because Nebraska is the joke of the college football world right now. And it's because of the guy in charge. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. It's because of the guy in charge. Nebraska is the joke of the college football world. Husker fans are tired of it. I'm tired of it. It's time for a change. It's as simple as that. I mean, we can go for 2 hours on this reaction show, but that's the same result we're going to come to. If we talk for 10 minutes, if we talk for 2 hours, the result is still the exact same, that Scott Frost needs to go, and it's time for a change.
It is simple.
Yeah.
You have Husker Game Day tweeting out his vendetta against Frost is he's arrogant. He's not as bright as he thinks he is, and he's lost too much as a coach. He's taken something that's brought me joy, and he's all but destroyed it. And it's not just all him. Aside from 2016, the Riley era wasn't a walk in the park. Those that Bo, I was a Bo guy, still am a Bo guy. 9-4, 10-4, but 400 rushing yards in 3 quarters, and Wisconsin going pinata on top of the relationship with the AD was not good. More comments from you as we're streaming Real Red Reaction Live, a stream-only broadcast. Plenty more for you, Varsity, and, of course, the morning hookup. But you have KFOR and 96 Kicks Facebook, ESPN Lincoln, and KFOR Twitter and Facebook. And watch us. Check this out on Real Red Reaction, the YouTube channel. But you have Rick that chimes in. He needs to go now. Maybe help me, something like that. There we go. He needs to go now. Similar comments like that. You have Segatron that chimes in here. Turn these one-score games around, and we're back in the top 25. That's the problem. Brennan chimes in. You can't let Frost COU. They say money can't buy happiness, but at this point, it's absolutely worth a shot. You have
Yeah.
Bryant says, I got some extra money to spin. Joey wants Bo Pelini back. That what the Michelle's worried about what the score is going to be next week.
Yeah.
Brian is right on. We finally have some running backs, but no defense. And Audrey out in North Carolina. So much excitement in the game makes that sort of end so deflating. And Brody weighs in. Frost.
All the same comments.
Yeah. Well, it's been building and building and building. The two players that spoke, Garrett Nelson, Casey Thompson. I'll see if we have any audio available. It's just a matter of when a decision is made and if Trev's going to move forward here before that October 1st. I think Trev is smart enough to just let things continue to play out and probably save some money. And this is your bed, you got to lie in it type deal. Almost like, I don't know, when you had some NCAA violations and you were pulling a petulant child out of church, you got to stand up in front of the media with me, Scott, and we got to let the world know that there's some NCAA stuff. So there wasn't anything going on that hammered Nebraska too bad, but Trev's going to be able to do what he's been brought in to do, and that is fix Nebraska football. And whether that's with Mickey as interim, it'd be real hard to go with Chenander right now based on how the defense is playing. And we'll see where it goes. Tonight was the first time in 215 games that Nebraska lost at Memorial Stadium, scoring 35 points. Connor, you got a thought?
Well, I'm reading this quote from the Frost presser right now, and it says, certainly didn't expect that tonight. And this kind of goes to something that I've been talking about with Scott Frost the past couple of weeks now, and it goes back to the Northwestern game too. And again, I don't know if this is the right word for me to use, but for me personally, I think it's appropriate. I feel like that is just an arrogant answer because you go back to what he said against Northwestern. He didn't know that they were going to spot 14 points against you. How do you not expect a Big Ten opponent to do that against you? And then you come in and you say, I didn't expect that tonight. Why would you not expect a Clay Helton-led team in Georgia Southern who knows that they have a golden opportunity in front of them in Memorial Stadium to get a big-time win for their program? What do you think they were going to do? Just lie over? You were just going to win without a problem? No, of course they're going to come into the exciting environment. They're going to enjoy the environment. We saw that to a certain extent with North Dakota last week. But how do you not expect Georgia Southern to come to play? How do you not expect it? That is one of the more alarming things to me. It is an arrogant statement, I think, and he clearly is not thinking about what the other team is trying to accomplish here. The main goal is to win the game. It's not just Nebraska trying to win the game. It's both sides. And I think that answer, you can't have that. I think that is a very arrogant statement.
I mean, the question is, and I don't disagree with you, Connor, because, Georgia Southern put up 56 points last week. I mean, you saw the tape. I'm looking at some of these things. I'm going, are you so busy trying to get people on the right spot and lined up that you're not analyzing the opposition? Because clearly they're not prepared for what the offense is throwing at them, right? I mean, they didn't know against Northwestern. They certainly didn't know last week, and they certainly had no answer this week. So either your coaching staff doesn't know how to do analyzing and make adjustments, you don't have the personnel, which I don't believe, or you just don't have a clue as to how to game plan beyond the first 25 plays, right? I mean, it seems like they script the first plays and they look really good, and then after that, it's a crapshoot whether they can make adjustments coming out of halftime. I mean, it's just – I don't disagree with you, Connor. There's a lot of arrogant answers from Scott Frost, and I just feel for the kids because they love the program. You know how hard they're playing. You see they're giving it all out there. They're competing, and either they're not put in the right position. When it comes down to players not making plays, it's either that you don't know how, you're not willing to, or you're not in a scheme that lets you. I don't believe they don't want to.
Can't do it or won't do it.
Right, exactly.
Right,
Can't do it or won't do it, and I don't know which one it is.
Well, when you have numerous high four-star players who come to Nebraska and end up being an average football player, don't get their shot in the NFL, they never seem to make strides. And you see a similar guy Nebraska's in a recruiting battle with, and they go to Iowa, or they go to Wisconsin, or they go to Kentucky, and you find out a different program is able to utilize their talents and send them off to the NFL. I think something needs to click in the heads of everybody that, you know what, it's not a problem with the kids they're bringing in Nebraska, because when these same kids are going off to other schools and other schools are utilizing their talents better, it's not a kids issue, it's a coaching issue.
Yeah, well, you know what's sad is because I think all 5 of us right here, we all thought that Frost was going to be a home run hire.
The whole world
the day
did.
it happened.
The whole world did, and it just comes down to development. How are they practicing, right? I mean, Nebraska clearly has not had enough contact leading up to this season, right? When it comes to tackling, they've got guys that are new, and there's just been some confusion. There's just not any pushback consistently enough on the lines of scrimmage. Either that's youth or inexperience. And when it comes to tackling, you just got to commit. Elijah, you had some great footage of Coach Helton's sit down with Georgia Southern about how he gets his team ready. And what Nebraska did forever to get teams ready was beat the hell out of one another Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday through Friday. So it was time to have a hot dog, and absolutely comes down to planning. It comes down to execution, and it comes down to development. And all of that was maybe a little easier at Central Florida when you inherited a team that was 2 years from You did a great job of motivating a lot of stars on that team to give a damn about football again. Move on to the Power Five. I think of Coach Herman for sure at Texas. It's just too big a jump. And there's been a lot of, not just tonight, but have added up throughout decision-making, development, recruiting, evaluation, and then retention. And it's been really problematic for Nebraska. Phil chimes in and says, yeah, Urban. I don't know that Urban's the right guy. Urban will no doubt try and find his way to Arizona State or Nebraska. Manuel chimes in. But who we look at for our next coach? All the waiting coaches already have jobs. When moves open the checkbook to hire Frost, things looked promising. But now, who can we look at, and how much is it going to cost us?
That was Bill Moose.
Yeah, that was the Moose. I mean, listen, money's not going to be an object. It's a matter of getting someone to want to take the Nebraska job. We all think Nebraska is a pristine job. It's got a pristine history. It's got an amazing fan base. It's got a ton of resources. It doesn't have the recruiting footprint other than recently. You've got a number of studs in the Omaha, Lincoln metro, and even out in west and central Nebraska. So the in-state talent's on a monster uptick. So I don't think it's going to be hard to get someone to consider Nebraska. But you gotta find the right guy. You can't miss on this, because you've teetered after both with the Riley hire, and then it was compounded with you can't whiff on this, otherwise never ever able to get back. 2 names I like, and the 2 names that you know and you've heard a lot about, but Lance Leipold at Kansas has a Nebraska tie. I don't know that it has to have a Nebraska tie, because listen, that didn't work under Frost or hasn't worked under Scott. So just because you know how a place used to win, you gotta have a 4-station practice so you develop and you can reload. So Nebraska has the Leipold option, I guess, and then there's Coach Campbell at Iowa State, and he finally got his win over a rival today against Iowa in that driving rain. So those are two. And those are two programs right now that are in the Big 12. 12's not as sturdy as it needs to be with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, although they're having some new members come in. But I really believe that the SEC and the Big 10 jobs are those are the two. So if there is an open one of the leagues, you're going to be able to go find a guy, I would think, that would come in because of your resources and your history and your tradition. But it's got to be a guy that it will be a guy if and when a decision's made on Scott that is a lot. Right.
What
Go
about
ahead.
Bill
And
O'Brien?
Schmitty,
Sorry.
What about
Tim
Bill
Bob,
O'Brien? I mean, that to me, I mean, I realize he's got some, obviously.
Tim
he's not
Bob,
a
were you
general
jumping in, bud?
manager. I'm sorry. I didn't raise my hand. I apologize. I was just saying, but what about Bill O'Brien? I mean, here's a guy who knows the Big Ten. He's won, obviously has a great pedigree. Again, he's not a general manager, and he had a dumpster fire of a quarterback in Houston. But, that's somebody who's got some clout and got some recruiting. And I want to talk to recruiting just a second. Huddle changed everything for everybody, right? It doesn't matter what your recruiting footprint is at this point. You can see any kid anywhere.
State. I mean, look what he did at Penn State.
Right. He turned around. You talk about a dumpster fire. Good Lord. And he turned that around, right?
and I'm just going to jump in here. I'll throw another name out there. The name that comes to the top of mind for me is Luke Fickell, a guy who knows the Big Ten, has been here in the Big Ten, and I wasn't all that impressed with him during a short stint at Ohio State, but then he's gone and done it really well for himself at a place like Cincinnati, who does not have the same kind of resources as Nebraska. I mean, it's going to take money for Nebraska to get the guy they want, a guy who is going to be able to turn this football program. It's going to take money. But Nebraska has that. They're in the Big Ten. They're in one of the best conferences in the country in terms of being able to do that because of that new TV media rights deal, which is coming down. I mean, pretty much right now at a perfect time for you as a program when you're going to be in a time of transition this offseason. You're going to have the actual resources that you need to go out and get the kind of head coach with proven experience that can go win. So that's a name that jumps to mind. I don't hate Bill O'Brien, Tim Bob, and I said that a couple of weeks ago. I like Bill O'Brien. The only thing that scares me about him is he is a guy who has wanted for a long time to make that jump back up to the NFL. So we'll see what he wants to do. Again, it's going to take money, but I don't think it's undoable for Nebraska. And those are the guys that are at the top of my list. Matt Campbell, sure, he had a convincing performance today in Iowa City, going and beating the Hawkeyes for the first time ever. And that's what I see in terms of head coaching candidates. What I will say, guys, really fast, is I wasn't scheduled to be on this show tonight. I have friends upstairs that tell me to come upstairs and watch the main card of the UFC event. So I'm going to check out for about 5 minutes, drink a beer, and I'll be back with you guys. But I've gotten pretty much my 2 cents in of what I wanted to say tonight. The writing's on the wall. Tonight proved not only to me, but I think to everyone Husker Nation that it was the end of the era. It's over. I don't think there's anything Scott Frost can do to come back from this. So, Schmitty, Will, you guys are actually coming in a lot better right now. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, Schmitty and Will, but your connection is much better.
Guys, we're gonna switch up here to phones. I'll be right back with you.
Wait.
No, you sound much better.
Wait, you guys sound good. Okay, well, they can't hear us.
I think that ship has sailed.
Well, enjoy your beer and the EFS thing. You got me up way past my bedtime, so you better, keep me on while you can. Connor, me and you holding down the fort here.
Oh yeah.
So I can hold on for 2 seconds here. They're still introducing the fighters in the main card. So
yeah,
just pour one out.
I think you've got to have a coach who understands the Big Ten, because the Big Ten is different than the Big 12. Listen, I'm a Big 12 fan. I grew up a Big 12 fan. I love the Big 12, but it's a whole different thing to come and play in the Big 10, where they huddle up, right, and they play smash mouth football and they win one-score games, right? It's not the shootouts that you have with Baylor and even Texas Tech and Oklahoma. It's not 1,000 yards of offense on both sides. It's kick a field goal late and and then run out the clock and hope your defense. So I think you've got to have a coach who understands that mentality. And I really think that's going to be a big adjustment for the USC and the UCLA's coming into the Big Ten, that they're going to find it's a different ball game. But I think you've got to have somebody who understands. And again, maybe it's Mickey Joseph, maybe it's somebody already on staff that can turn it around. But I don't buy the idea that, well, we have to have this big recruiting footprint. Huddle changed all that. You had a guest on, I think it was late last year, one of the coaches that came in. Maybe it was a Georgia Southern or whatever that came in and said, we can now see kids everywhere, right? You know, we can see junior college players all over the country, and we can see high school players. We're not restricted to just, who we can go physically see. So I think recruitment is no longer about who I can go send a guy sit in the stands and talk to his coach and go make an impression. I can see kids and I can recruit kids anywhere, and Huddle's changed that. So I don't buy that idea, because you see kids going all over the country, all the way across the country to play because of the coach's ability to recruit and develop.
Well, I will say this, Tim Bob, and I don't think recruiting has been the issue. And you can look at the ratings for Nebraska. Obviously, it hasn't been the issue. Same with the transfer portal. When you look on paper, the transfer portal has been something that Frost and his staff have been really, really good at, and
Right.
they've been able to acquire talent. You look at the stars, you look at the stats, you look at everything
So
like
look
that.
at Grant. I mean, that's
Exactly.
That's a great pickup.
But all of that doesn't mean anything without proper coaching, without proper development, without proper. And again, I hate to beat on the same drum here, but it feels like that just Frost shows up, expects to win, and then they just go like I don't know what is the thought process there. He came from obviously one of the most prime eras of college football where he was at the head of it, and he knows what Nebraska is, and he knows the success that Nebraska has had, but that's not the same Nebraska that we have now, and it's much different. I think no matter how much longer he stays, they have to look in the mirror and say, hey, this is not the 90s anymore, and things have to change, and you can't just show up expecting to win without doing the proper preparation.
And I agree 100%. I think Nebraska fans are going to have to come to the understanding that right now they are what they are, right? They're the bottom of the Big Ten, and they have to scrap forever, win against whoever they line up against. And there's nobody it's an easy win in their conference and even on their schedule. And so the coaching mentality has to be, we're rebuilding. And I think you're right about the idea that, well, back in the day, the Husker fans have got to get over Tom Osborne, okay? I'm sorry. Husker fans are going to have to get over. Husker used to be, Tom would do this. You're going to have to get over that. It's a whole new era of football. It's a different way of recruiting, a different way of playing the game, and a different approach to the game. Again, you can talk about character. You can talk about player development. And I'll give Tom Osborne all the credit in the world. But it was a different time. It was a different opportunity. It was a different way of you could. There was nobody competing against Tom Osborne to go down and get a Mike Rozier at Coffeyville Junior College. He could go bring in players from New Jersey. There was nobody competing against him, even here in Nebraska. He had carte blanche. That's not true anymore, and it's never going to be true again, because kids aren't. It's at this point with NIH, it's a arms race, right? So it's a different era. I think the Husker fans are going to have to get over.
And
Nebraska.
Vic Blaze chimes in with one of the comments. Okay. Oh, sorry, to Bob.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you were cutting out there for just a second, but you're good now. But I want to go to one of the comments left on the right side. Vic says Fitzgerald, and as somebody who grew up watching Northwestern football, I can tell you that Pat Fitzgerald will not be a name that is mentioned, because he will never leave the University of Northwestern. He is basically on a lifetime contract in Evanston, so that name is thrown out the window. As much as I would love that, it will never happen, and I wish it would. But that's just kind of the card we've been dealt here at Nebraska, and obviously Fitzgerald's allegiances. I have a couple of comments in Twitter as well. James Rowland, he responded to my tweet and said he thinks it was a bad idea to score the touchdown. Nebraska had just over 3.5 minutes to go. They drove down the field and scored with under 1:45 to go. That's what should have happened. So they should have held, and obviously they had the big play that put them down towards the one with Washington. And I mean, with 1 yard to work with, it's kind of hard to keep that clock turning as long as you possibly can. But that's something that many Husker fans think that could have done better, and maybe it plays out differently if you waste more time. Who knows?
Guys, got to jump in. Yeah, you both have me.
Yes.
Okay, Tim Bob, you touched on Coach Osborne and the Osborne way. I have a quick take on that, and I think you can go back to the Osborne blueprint from a development standpoint, and that is a 4-station practice that leads to development that has guys that'll have thousands of reps by the time they're ready to get the nod and start. Okay, I think you can go back to the Osborne blueprint. It's a different world from how much they allow you to hit now, but you can still practice blocking and tackling like he did at some point. So that's the frustration with a lot of Nebraska fans, is that Scott was a part of it and won that way with fierce practices for big time development on the lines of scrimmage. And if you ask him, he'd tell you and show you how to make it happen. I mean, Saban does it. Great players, but they're all developed. They're enhanced from really good to NFL. Bill Snyder, what kept him winning for as many years as he did? He'd run a 3 or 4 station practice. I mean, it's just a matter of how you do things. I don't know what Northwestern's practice style is like, or Brett Bielema's, or Wisconsin's, or Minnesota's, or Penn State's. But guess what? They've figured it out. They get good players, yes, but Nebraska's consistently been in the recruiting rankings, top 4 or 5 in the league. So either you've misevaluated or you've not developed what you have evaluated. Okay, and to me, it's lack of development. But there's a recipe for the secret sauce, so to speak, that's there, and all you got to do is go ask him, and he'd tell you, and you got to be willing to do it. And that's just it. You got to have a coach that'll come in here and be willing to know what works or go with what works, and attack it that way from a development standpoint. Nebraska has not been the tougher team on the football field for a long, long, long time. And you can recruit, and you can also instill toughness that will help you win more than you lose those battles of attrition in close ball games.
Yeah, and from an outsider perspective too, I mean, coming here just a couple of years ago to start school and everything, it was amazing and eye-popping how many resources and donors and support that the program gets, and you put all that together, and you would think that a successful product, as it once was, would be put out on the field every single Saturday. And as you mentioned, Chris, it comes down to that repetition and that development. Like Nick Saban, yeah, he's bringing in 5 stars left and right, but just because they're 5 stars doesn't mean they come into college as an NFL player right away, right? So every single program has to have that developmental standpoint. Nebraska clearly has not had that in the last 5 years, and it will change sooner rather than later. And hopefully with a clean start, you can kind of look at everything that Nebraska has and how really privileged and advanced that Nebraska is as a program, with just donors and everything, fan support, you name it. I think a fresh start will be great, and that you can really take advantage of what Nebraska gives you as a head coach, because it's a lot of really, really good things, and they should not be, I don't want to say wasted, but they should be put to good use. We're kind of getting Schmitty and Will back. Tim Bob, I just want to let you know. Okay, good.
You know, I don't disagree with what Smitty's saying, but it seems to me. I'm sorry, I got all this.
You're good.
Okay,
I've got you.
I think what the difference is, and I asked this a rhetorical question because I've never seen a Scott Frost practice, right? But when you use Nick Saban, you use these places, you've got a stockpile of 4 and 5 star recruits. Competition, you know, steel sharpens steel type of thing. But if you're coaching a situation where you go, there's a major drop off between my 1 and 2, because I've lost a lot of kids have left, I understand all that. Are you coaching scared in practice because you're afraid one guy gets hurt? I use the example of Heinrich tonight. That defense, as strained as it is, was much worse without him. One guy lost here, and I'm really in a bad situation. So you're afraid to put that competition out there because one tweaked knee, one hurt ankle, one busted hand, one concussion, and here I am playing a guy who's clearly not ready because I don't have that stack of people like Osborne had developed. Because, quite frankly, Scott Frost started from ground zero, in my opinion. Riley left a mess. So I just asked that in terms of coaching. There's got to be a balance between I want competition, I want that physicality, but I can't afford to get somebody hurt or key players hurt because then I'm in trouble.
Well, that's the fear. That's absolutely the fear that keeps them from doing what they need to do development wise. Is there's just this fear of not wanting to get somebody hurt. I mean, that's I guess the excuse, or I know better. This is how we're going to practice. This is how it's worked for me in the. Just speculating, but it's got to be one of two reasons. Dave chimes in. You have to keep Frost through the end of the year. Let him stand by his product, win or lose. Win or lose this year, it will get blown up going next year anyway, right? So yeah, let him stand by what he's done. I don't think the fan base is. I don't know. As a fan, do you want to see him finish out the year, or do you want him gone after? Right now, emotions are high, man. Emotions were high after Dublin. Folks want out. They want a different leader right now, and that's it. That's the consensus right now in the heat of the moment. But it's been ongoing. It's been all right. 2018, a little momentum towards the end of the year. 2019, Colorado blew things up. Brody wants a reset, and Nebraska fans are, right there. We're going to play a little bit of Casey Thompson, okay? His post game, and we're working on getting Coach Frost's post game from the Conference. Nebraska falling to Georgia Southern tonight, 45-42.
How do you balance a game like that, Casey, where it felt like the offense did a lot of good things, but it ends up a team loss? So, I mean, how do you take that all?
Just control what you can control. I play offense. I play quarterback. So our job is to move the football and to take care of the ball. We had no turnovers, which is scored the most points we have all season. It's positive. We stayed together. We ran the ball well. It's positive. We spread out the ball around receiver. I think we were in good shape for 4 quarters. I mean, the line. We weren't tired. So, there's a lot of positive, like you said, today. And the team that wins scores the most points. So, got to score more points. There's a couple of things we cleaned up, of course. But we took the lead in the 4th quarter, and then we had a chance to tie it up as well. when we were down. So just trying to focus on doing my job and leading the offense. That's all I can control. But yeah, I mean, a loss is a loss. It's a team loss, and it's always tough.
What's your reaction across the side of the line?
Like I said, honestly, whenever they call the punt team out, I just go off the field and I immediately talk to the offense. So I don't question any of the play calling, and coaches just get paid to coach, and I mean, we're here to play ball. So I never question any of the calls. At the end of the day, I mean, the coaches are on the sideline, the players are on the field, so it's on the players to make plays. I mean, whatever they call, we have to make it right. I mean, if they call inside zone or if they call a drop back pass, you know, it's on us as an offense to do the right thing. On defense, it doesn't matter if they run cover 1, cover 3, cover 4. Every play is designed to execute, so including special teams. So we should be able to execute anything that's called.
When you hear boos and chants from the fans or coach?
I didn't hear any boos or chants. Honestly, when I'm out there, I just, like I said, I focus on the play that's called. I mean, you guys always see me looking at the clock. I'm trying to manage the clock. I'm looking at the down and distance. I'm looking at the time of possession. I'm looking at, what the situation is, the game. When the game ends or during the game, I don't hear any chants. I try to tune out literally anything that's. I mean, even some of the guys on our team on the sideline, they always ask me, 11, are you good? I'm like, I'm thinking about the next play, or I just tune out a lot of things mentally and physically. So I didn't hear anything like that. But like I said, I can't control any of that stuff, right? I can only control the offense, being the best quarterback, and how I perform. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, experience helps a lot. Honestly, I looked at Marcus Washington and I said, what game this feels like? And he looked at me and I was like, I already know how this is going to go. Texas versus Kansas last year. It was 56 to 57. We went to double overtime in Texas. So, like you said, I mean, and then in the Big 12 last year, I was in a lot of shootouts. Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Baylor. I mean, there's a lot of shootouts that I played in. So, if anything, it gave me a little bit of comfort and peace knowing that I've been in situations before. Having the experience helps a lot. And just like I said, just focusing more on my throws and on my reads and taking care of the football. So, but yeah, I mean, definitely being in tight matchups and high-scoring games has helped a lot. Playing football in the game is a lot different than practice. Obviously, the experience and the reps have definitely helped. In the first quarter, yeah, I mean, they scored first half. I think they were like 4 out of 5. They scored like 4 out of 5 of their possessions, and we scored like 4 out of 6, something like that. So the score was 28-28 at halftime. That's 4 touchdowns. So that's what it's going to be. I just knew as long as we can continue to get the ball back, we can score or get a field goal, then we'd be okay. But I mean, we were 4 for 6 on touchdowns in the first half, and I don't know what we were in the second half, but we scored whenever it mattered. But yeah, I kind of knew early on in the game, like first and second quarter, not to be negative, but I always try to be positive. But I mean, anytime you see over 21, 28 points in the first half, you kind of know it'll be a high-scoring game. We're just hoping we can get some stops, and that way, I knew we were going to keep on scoring points. So, like I said, I thought we could outscore them, but we just ran out of time and then missed the field goal. But like I said, I can't worry about any of that.
As you said, you can only control what you can control. From the offensive standpoint, is that 98-yard drive something you guys can kind of use,
Yeah.
in a situation like that?
I've never, at practice, you don't really go 98 yards for the game. It's not a situation that you practice a lot. We actually had it, week 0 against Northwestern and Dublin. I think we would have went down and scored as well. But like I said, we just have to keep improving and get better. But honestly, if anything, it's all mental. Like when you're on the sideline and you look at the clock and you're like, it's 4th quarter, right? You're down. You got to go 98 yards to win the game. unsuccessful. So and honestly, once I got out in that field during the 98-yard drive, after we had started at the minus 2 yard line, it's just something that you have to kind of ignore the mental block of like, this is a huge task and a huge barrier to climb. And just go out and play ball one play at a time and execute. So I think we did that. Thank you, guys.
That was Casey Thompson. It's Real Red Reaction. Yes, it's presented to you by your friends at Currency. For your equipment financing needs, go Currency. And we'll have Scott's postgame here. Minutes longer. Still time for you to line in. Al says the defensive coordinator should move Garrett Nelson to the linebacker. That way you can have Mathis and Wynn and Tanner and Drew and others to work on the front line, shore up that middle. You know, I don't know that it would matter because your interior fellas hasn't done the job. And guys aren't staying off linebackers. And a lot of times your linebackers are just missing too many tackles as is. We're streaming here on KFOR, Facebook, and Twitter. 96 Kicks, Facebook, ESPN, Lincoln, Twitter, and Facebook. And also be sure to subscribe and watch us live here on Red Reaction, the YouTube channel. Will Wilson to my right, the beer garden. Thanks. The fans right now are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And Tim Bob Kitzmiller, Elijah Herbal right now is
Crying.
Well, I think he's probably having a cold one.
Good idea.
He's doing
He's
both.
watching the UFC fight, so
To get used to time after that.
That's right.
I really think I am impressed with Casey Thompson.
I just wonder what we were practicing during this last week. We knew Georgia Southern was going to be throwing the ball, right, in air raiding and all that. We looked so lost out there tonight, especially on the defensive side. For once, the O-line actually looked better than the defensive line. I never thought I'd be saying that. And again, I just think it's sad that, you know, we all thought Frost was going to be this guy to save the program. I don't know if he really wanted to, or like this whole time, it didn't really look like he was trying his hardest, Smitty and Connor and Tim Bob. It's just a tough feeling to have right now, and it's we're gonna remember this game for a long time.
This is a fun exercise. Nebraska was blank tonight. Fill in the blank, and I'm gonna say soft. Nebraska was soft. When you let a team that is going to chuck the football around the yard, run for 230 on you. They were not physical enough defensively. And you lost some super seniors. Jim Rome chimes in, Cornhusker fan, no words, is what he says. Our old buddy Steve Warren, Husker Nation, if we ever get back to being a 9-win team consistent and at least make it to conference championship games, please be quiet and be happy. I'm not just talking about Bo, although I love Bo. I played for him in the league. I'm talking about the concept of being okay with building the program back to 8, 9, 10 wins and getting to a championship. Be okay with that. And I don't, you always want more as a fan. You want the 90s. Totally get it. Totally agree with it. But there's also kind of learning the hard way from a realism standpoint of just how great and easy Bob and Tom made it look, and even Frank, and even Bob. So, yeah, I think Nebraska fans right now, it's been 20-plus years since a conference championship. It's been, dare I say, 6 years since a bowl berth. You're going on year 5 right now without a bowl berth, and at least you're at least you haven't been kicked out of the Big Ten, but Nebraska hasn't kept their end of the bargain.
Yeah.
Elijah Herbal is back Is the fight over already? And I'm not talking
The
about
fight is
the many that
over.
will be in ballrooms along the state. Okay.
I like that. Yeah, no, Nate Diaz choked out Tony Ferguson via a guillotine choke in what I believe was the 4th round. It's an entertaining fight all around. I'm not sure if anyone's heard the UFC drama this week, but there was a lot of drama this week, and it was a satisfying payoff to that. But now I'm back ready to talk about some Huskers. I have gotten my first beer of the night in me, and I've got a second one ready to crack here for as long as we want to go tonight. And based on the amount of eyes we still have in here watching, the amount of comments we're still getting in, it looks like we're going to be going for a bit, guys, huh?
Do me a favor, Elijah. Check your email for the Frost audio, if you can.
Yep.
Just sent your way to that, but it is absolutely. People are jumping ship. They've seen enough. Former players, Adam Carricker, quoted as saying it's time to fire Scott Frost. Scott Frost also commenting, we didn't get off blocks. Again, this is where you... Yeah, Grant says, you yuppie puke donors got Frank fired. Again, was not a guy in favor of that almost 20 years ago, Grant, so I hear you. But no, the reality is this: in the press conference, it's not time to deflect. It's time to take the arrows and say, I wasn't good enough. I didn't get our kids ready tonight. And maybe he said some of that, but that's not what's coming out on Twitter, Will. Connor, it's real easy that Nebraska can move on, get a smaller buyout for Frost, go hire the next whoever it is. But what's the turnaround time? And we got to get into where Nebraska's at, how down they truly are, and what's the rebuild. Because Scott had the runway. Moose even gave him 2 years on top of the original 5, right? So that 7 turned into 9. And the hesitancy to move on from the staff you brought in. But let's get into this topic of loyalty for a moment, where there's just it's a two-way street. You either, thanks for joining me, I got a chance to jump to a bigger, better job, and I've got to go hire the best that's out there, even if I've not worked with them, or listen, this is the crew that got me to 13-0 together. Let's bring everybody with. And you're on a third offensive coordinator. You've had hesitancy about being able to let go of doing that, so you can be more of a CEO. And you still have some guys on staff that were with you. And you talk to former coaches, and there's just a major difference with making the jump from a G5 to a P5 in Big Ten. And it's easy to go hindsight armchair now, but that the losses are one thing, but the physicality and development is what will end up getting Coach Frost dismissed, winning if that happens.
Well, yeah, loyalty to a certain extent, too. I mean, you bring your guys with, and that makes sense because of the success that you had previously. Now, again, the jump from the American to the Big Ten is obviously quite the sizable jump. And at a certain point, you do have to move on from those guys. But, I mean, to go back to one of your other questions, Schmitty, about an adjective to describe Nebraska today, and I mean it's a basic one. It's probably the one that everybody's thinking, but disappointing. I mean that's all I can think of. It's just disappointing. Underwhelming would be a good one to use as well, especially for the defensive side of the ball. But I mean, luckily for Nebraska, I think the turnaround time could be quicker than maybe you would initially think because of the transfer portal as well. Now, obviously, you have to score in the transfer portal. You can't just get anybody. But that's certainly something that helps a quicker turnaround if the patience, even with a new coach, is very short.
Yeah, there's clearly a disconnect between, you talk about loyalty, because kids come in with expectations of what they've been promised. And I realize it's a shorter window, with the portal and those type of things. I was glad to hear they've narrowed that window, that you can only jump it 2 times in a year, instead of just an open window. But loyalty works both ways. If you bring in a kid and he has expectations and you don't deliver it, either in the practice or your engagement or your, character building, that's where I think you lose kids. You see, again, a lot of people moving around, and that's, I think, a good thing in some ways, and you can rebuild from the portal. But loyalty, at this point, it comes to the fan base and the university and putting a winning product on the field, and whatever that takes.
Really fast, I think we have the Scott Frost audio. You guys want to tell me if you can hear this loud and clear?
That one hurt. We win as a team, lose as a team, and we got beaten today. I think we got.
Sorry, can you guys hear that?
It's quiet, but yeah.
I need you to crank the volume up. Yeah, I got it.
See what I can do.
I need you to crank the volume.
Out schemed. It didn't really have an answer. On one side of the ball, could have played better in some other areas too, but they got after us.
Well, we'll work on that. We're doing Real Red Reaction, presented to you by Currency. For all of your equipment financing needs, go.
A couple tackles. I said at halftime, I don't think we had enough eyes on the ball, and a couple of our.
I'm working on it. I'm sorry. Was that better now? Did you guys have better audio there?
Yes.
Let's try it.
That was better.
You guys were on that ball long enough. We had some time with tunnel screens
You
on
guys
us
talk
that
about
we didn't
yourselves.
get back out of it on the defensive line, but that's not supposed to happen. Yeah, certainly didn't expect that tonight. I thought we would perform a lot better than that. I felt really good about our defense going into the season, felt good about our offense. I knew it would take a while for our offense to start clicking. I thought they did pretty well tonight. Thought the defense made a lot of progress last week. That was a major setback. I did. Yeah, it was 4th and short on our, at that point in the game, we weren't going to win if we didn't get a stop anyway. And it turns out that we got the lead and put ourselves in position to win and didn't get it done.
I mean, how can you put this together when the defense, it just feels like it's kind of in shambles right now to outsiders? How can you do it on the fly?
Well, we got a lot to look at, looking forward to getting in the film room and looking at it. And I just spend some time with some more time with the defense and see what we can get fixed. I think in that game, we probably had a notion that we could do pretty well in some of our base calls and probably needed to mix up the looks a little bit because they were getting in the right thing for what we were in, and we didn't execute great.
What was the mood against the locker room? When you have such a dichotomy, one side played really well, a 98-yard touchdown drive to take the lead. The other side was, how does that kind of settle out?
We win together, we lose together. There's obviously guys that are frustrated. All of us are frustrated after that one. I give them a lot of credit, give Clay a lot of credit, but we can't let it divide us. I think in the first game, offense could have played better and won, but we gave up too many points. I think in the second game, offense struggled in the first half, and the defense held us in it. So we got to play more complete games, and that wasn't even close.
Obvious outside noise that's going to come not seep into players.
Got to make sure it doesn't seep into players. I haven't listened to any of it for a long time. Got to make sure they don't. There's a lot of games left in this season, and this group can do well. Made some big plays. Thought he played well. 42 ought to be enough to win almost every game you play. But again, we win together and lose together, and offense could have scored once more too, for sure. It's a team when you win, it's a team when you lose, and we got to keep together.
Where the defense at is that, I mean, are you kind of stunned by it? Do you think coming out of fall camp, you sort of had that record together?
Yeah, again, we win together and lose together. I was excited what I saw in fall. I don't think we got off blocks very well. We got blocked up front and didn't get off blocks well enough. I expect more out of the group that I've been seeing for a long time.
Coach, it was another one-score game. I mean, do you feel like just the notion of you guys been so close in some of those one-score games, do you think that kind of set the players' minds at all?
It's funny, the new guys in the program don't even remember those things, and the old guys I don't think have that attitude right now. We just simply didn't get a stop. We had a lot of chances to get a stop. We didn't get a stop. Special teams played well enough for sure. You can't give up that many yards and that many points and win very many games.
What do you say to fans, they're watching, their impression of the program at this moment?
I just appreciate it. It's fun being here. I'm blessed to be the coach here. I love this state and this program. I'm fighting with everything I have. So is the rest of the coaching staff. We do the march to victory and everything, and I know there's questions and negativity out there, but the people that I see at those things and the fans staying, it's unbelievable. So I appreciate the people that are with us. Thanks.
That was Scott Frost, his post game about an hour ago. We're here with Real Red Reaction, Chris Schmidt, Will Wilson, Elijah Herbal, Connor Clark, Tim Bob, Kitzmiller. It's a somber tone, and there's been way too many press conferences that have had somber tones because of the outcome, the result. And it just kind of felt like a farewell. There's been nothing announced or decided yet. And, you have a couple of questions here with our StreamYard interaction and postings where, what if he beats Oklahoma? What if he beats Oklahoma? What if he gets to Indiana? What if he beats Indiana? What if 1-2 turns into 3-2? Now, ain't gonna happen with what they're getting whacked with defensively. Guys, I'm gonna go around the horn here with it. What direction can this defense go? Or are you firm believers that they are going to be what they are right now? You can always get better. You're not even quite to the midway point. But, man, after this loss, after this stunner, and it's been an issue. They haven't played good football or complimentary football. It's a reality. And they're gonna have to outscore people the rest of the year. They just don't get off the field defensively, and you feel sick for the kids because they're not wanting this either. But Nebraska fans right now some are really, but many are not, because you've seen this movie too many times, and you still have a very daunting November. You still have Oklahoma coming to town, and bye week, and then you'll have Indiana. Nebraska just doesn't look like other teams in the league right now on the defensive side of the ball. Offense has gotten better. Offense has found some rhythm. Offense has found the ability to get some points. Casey's been pretty locked in. The receivers looked good. Running game's been really nice, But the reality is it's just too little too late, the Scott Frost era. I'll start with you, Elijah.
I want to jump in here and say,
can the defense be? Can they get to a point where they're serviceable?
I don't want to sit here and blame the players on the field because that's not where I'm coming from. I think if you were to put these guys as freshmen with 75% of the coaching staffs in Power 5 football. If you had these same guys as freshmen, the recruiting classes, given to all the other coaching staffs, they'd be a great defense right now. But we mentioned it earlier in the show. They're going out and trying to replace a whole bunch of sixth-year seniors with guys that were, frankly, misses in either recruitment or in development. One of those two. I'm not sure you can put all those guys into that category. However, by large margin of these guys are just not good enough to be at a Power 5 level right now. And that's why I said I don't want to blame the players, because I think it falls more on the coaching staff for either missing in recruiting for what you have to do in the Big Ten or missing in development to get these guys ready to go play. I guess not even in the Big Ten, against a Sun Belt team. So the defense is what they are right now. And I think you've had a couple years to get a lot of these guys. While they're behind great talent, such as JoJo, Damian Daniels, Ben Stilley, all these great talent on the Husker defense, by seeing these guys for years behind them, they're supposed to develop. They're supposed to get better. Yet whenever they take the field against North Dakota or against Georgia Southern, they don't look like they've made any strides since their freshman season. And that's why I'm saying I don't want to blame the players. I think the coaching staff could have done a lot better with these guys, but they are what they are. This is not something that's going to be fixed come Wisconsin or come Iowa. I dread playing a team like Wisconsin with what this defense is right now, because if Georgia Southern can put up 623 yards against you, I mean, Wisconsin can do that in the ground game alone. Braylon Allen might go and put up 300 yards against this defense with how soft the defensive line looked today and just how out of sorts they looked for most of this game. It's going to be a long season for the defense. It's going to come down to score fests, and I hate sitting here and blaming the kids, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I've said that a couple times now, but it's just not good enough. This is not a defense that should be taking the field for a Power 5 program.
Nope, and the kids that are brought in are either underdeveloped, not ready, or too new. And you can't be in this position in year 5. Yep. On your lines of scrimmage. Go ahead, Tim Bob.
Yeah, I think the line of scrimmage, that what it comes down to. I think the defensive line is just like Scott Frost said, they're not getting off block. Let you go. Is that a technique? Is that alignment? I think they're getting out schemed. Clearly, there's a blueprint that says this is how you beat Nebraska, because this is how they play on defense. Soft. They look slow. I'll go back to, I was listening to the Hell Varsity show and the comments about development in the weight room, and that that the game has evolved and how players get stronger and faster today with the techniques in the weight room. It all plays together, but I think the defensive line is what it is. I think you're going to have to make some adjustments, some rearrangements of some people. But all I saw watching it was they were catching blocks and going backwards. And the linebackers were getting blocked by second-level people. And you have one guy had to make a tackle or it was a 60-yard run. And you can't have that. You got to have all kinds of hats getting to the football, right? That's how you play in the Big Ten. And you just aren't seeing that. And I think it comes down to that defensive line play. They got to slow them down. They got to make them make a cut. They can't be running north and south with nobody touching them until they get to the linebacker, to the secondary. So I think it is what it is. Unless they find some free agent they can bring in, the defensive line is going to struggle this year.
Yeah, I mean, the only direction that the defense can go is up, right? And as Elijah mentioned, it's going to have to be score fests. And how confident do you feel with this team getting into score fests and shootouts? Now, obviously, you have a quarterback who's experienced in a game like that, but it's not how you're going to win ball games in the Big Ten. And I agree with you, Elijah. I think Braylon Allen could go for 300 yards against this defense, just the way it looked tonight. And you hate to point the finger, and I mean, the guys on the defense have to be a bunch of thumb pointers, not a bunch of finger pointers. But the only direction that this defense can go is up. Let's hope they do. But for the time being, it looks like Nebraska is going to have to score a lot of points in order to put themselves in the win column.
Well, Connor, I just want to hit on that point for a second. You said the only way this defense can go is up. And we said that about the Huskers last year as a team. We said they're 3-9 with all these one-score losses. The only way this team can go is up. They can't have more one-score losses than they had last year. And then you turn around this season and holy cow, it's gone down. I can't believe it. And I mean, I don't think I'm crazy here in thinking that there was potential on this team to take that next step up. But at the end of the day, it's a step back. And the results speak for themselves. 4-8. 4-8, 3-5, 3-9. The win totals are going down, despite the fact that the product in the field looks closer to a football team that Husker fans would like to appreciate. The results are taking a step back completely, and we've said it for a couple years now. The only place to go is up. Yet Scott Frost and his coaching staff, and I guess the team as a whole, keeps on finding a way to go down.
It's impressive stuff.
Another comment from Vic. With the Star Wars card here, I really wanted Frost to succeed. I feel like Kenobi talking to Anakin. You were supposed to be the chosen one. Man, and that's just it. I mean, more of an outcry when Frost was the choice post Riley, and it just hasn't gone that way. KJ chimes in, ready to burn those season predictions. I had 8-4 before Northwestern. Now I'm thinking 1 of 11. Never, ever thought I'd say that. This is bleeping Nebraska. Jason says 8-4. I was thinking 6-6. FPI has dropped the win total. This was last week after North Dakota to 5-7. I fear watching it. We're looking forward to seeing what it is next week. Let's go around the horn real quick with some parting thoughts, some parting shots as it is now September 11th. Midnight has come, and the beer is still cold here out back here in the beer garden. Will Wilson, Chris Schmidt, Elijah Hurl, Connor Clark, Tim Bob, Kitzmiller. Plenty more reaction on Hail Varsity Monday. And also with the up Bill Hooks, Will Wilson, get you rocking at 9 a.m. on ESPN Lincoln. But my parting thought, my parting shot is what could have been and what was supposed to be. Even if they get that field goal and win in overtime, or if they get a stop in the fourth quarter, today was supposed to be the same offensive performance. You got that. But today was the day for the defense to step forward and make steps towards progress. And they, from the get-go, and Elijah Herbal nailed after the first drive, it was down to all those guys you've either recruited, developed, or now you're renting through NIL. It's just not working. And it's too bad because people were fist pounding and hugging Shenander last year for what he did and what his defense did. All the heavy lifting, albeit through a 3-9 season. But the reason it was one-score losses because your defense carried that football team last year. Chins and Fish both have done a good job of development. The lines, man, you can't microwave them, and I say that again and again and again. And even if you go NIL or you go transfer portal, they got to be in the system and in the program longer than the summertime, right? Even if they're from Alabama or Texas Tech. And you're just not getting any pressure. And you got to be able to scheme up a way to get home, to get pressure. And Nebraska's not done it. And so it's the same old with this Nebraska football team of not having complementary football. You miss a high-pressure field goal that's not a gimme by any means because of its length and distance. And what could have been, what should have been for Nebraska football under Scott Frost. It's sad. But in a way, if and when it changed with Frost, it may be a relief to him. I'll say this. He's a guy that hasn't looked or acted happy. His players have said that this year. but overall, the stress of the job, the weight of the job, it's just been too big for him. It's been too big for him, and it's been too big for a number of the assistants he brought with him before changes this year. I think the new changes on offense have worked, right? The assistants he brought in have been varsity level coaches, okay? A little too late, and you didn't make changes soon enough, and it's just an overall statement of the guy just wasn't ready to be in this position at this level in the Big Ten. And now you're year 5. It's been year 4. It's been year 3. This was supposed to pop earlier, and the inconsistency continues to creep up and be a problem, and that will be the undoing. It's not just one score losses; it's the lines of scrimmage that will be the undoing and the end of an era.
Well said, Schmitty. You know, when I think about Frost, of course, that was Bill Moose's guy, right? He got him here. Bill Moose isn't here. Trev is here now, and Trev has done a lot of good things, and I think he's going to have to do another good thing here in the next few weeks, you know, or off season. You know, like I said, we all thought Frost was going to do it. He obviously isn't. It's year 5. By 5, and you're at the same school, you should be doing big things. He's not. You just lost to Georgia Southern. So, you know, I've seen everything I need to see, and we'll see where it goes from here. We are one-of-a-kind school, Nebraska. You got everything you need here. You have all of the weapons that you can ask for, right? You got the support. You got the stadium. You got a facility coming. You should be able to get a guy in here that can do big things. We'll see what happens. I got this ice cold straight here, and that's what I'm going to be enjoying.
10 straight one-score losses.
Yeah, and I'll jump in here. This is not a one-game thing for me. I don't want to harp too much on what happened here tonight because this is a culmination of 4 years and 3 games that leads me to this. I've said it before. I think I said it 20 minutes into the show, and I said, but we could talk for an hour and a half, and it's not going to change anything. The simple fact of the matter is Scott Frost isn't getting the job done. He hasn't got the job done. And I think tonight was the final nail in the coffin to prove to everybody he's not going to get the job done. Whether the firing is tomorrow, whether it's Monday, whether it's October 1st, it doesn't matter. The simple fact of the matter is Scott Frost is not going to be the head football coach here for very much longer. That's it for me. I will say from people I know close to Trev Alberts, from people I know within the athletic department that I've worked in multiple athletic directors, I have a big confidence that Trev Alberts is going to get this thing right. I mean, I've lost complete faith in Scott Frost, but over the next couple of weeks, I think not only will it prove to me, I think it'll prove to a lot of Husker Nation that Trev Alberts is the guy who is going to get this ship righted, is the best way to put it. I have big faith in Trev Alberts, and that is my closing thought. Whatever Trev Alberts decides to do in terms of the future of Scott Frost, whether he's the coach on the sideline against Oklahoma, which as much as I don't think he should be, I do have a feeling that Scott Frost is going to be around for the Oklahoma game next week, because if you've made it this far, why wouldn't you let him coach one more game and then you make it to October 1st and finally end that? I understand the appeal of that. Whatever Trev decides to do there, I do have trust in Trev Alberts that he will make the right decision. And at the end of the day, that's why I'm going to go to bed tonight. I'm not going to lose any sleep. I'm not going to shed any tears because I think Nebraska has the right man in charge of their athletic department steering the ship in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't think he made a move until that buyout happens, that date. Go ahead, Tim Bob.
I would say my brother said to me when I was 17 years old that 2 things I promise you is that stuff will happen and things will change. And we're at that point right now, right?
Yep.
Stuff has happened and things are going to change. And I think Scott Frost is probably a brilliant coordinator. I think maybe this has been too much and it's a humbling experience, and he may come back around to be a good head coach someplace else, but it's too much. I believe like you, I think Trev Albert is the right guy to find the coach to turn it around. It may be on staff. It may be somebody they bring in. I do think that the difference between the Riley era and where we're at today is leaps and bounds ahead, but that many one-score games is right here between your ears, right? And I do want to say I have been impressed with Casey Thompson. I think he's a good leader. I think he's got some skills, and I think the offense will do well. But it's not enough, as Chris said, too little, too late to save the Frost era, and it's time to move on.
And Tim Bob, I do love your point here. Just to jump in ahead of you, Connor. Sorry, going out of order here, but Tim Bob, I love your point about Scott Frost. I will continue to root for the guy. He is a son of Nebraska, and I want him to do big things. I do think he has a bright future ahead of him. But the simple fact of the matter is he has the look of a guy in press conferences on the sideline of a guy who needs a fresh start. I think he's going to get that fresh start, and I still think he has a bright future ahead of him. But the simple fact of the matter is it's not here at Nebraska. Wherever his next stop is, you're going to have a Scott Frost supporter in me, because I do think he gave it all to this program. I don't think he left anything on the table. I just don't think this was a job that was right for him at the moment he took it. And we've seen that over the past couple of years. But I do believe that Scott Frost has a bright future ahead of him wherever the next stop is for him.
Yeah, and I'll just say, as a current student, I mean, obviously it's not great that Nebraska isn't having the success that we all want it to. I mean, the entire student body wants the team and the program to be successful, and kind of rally around that, right? But I like what you said, Tim Bob. What happens will happen, and what will change will change. And I think a fresh start is warranted for not only Nebraska but for Scott himself. And hopefully we'll see what this happens. If they wait, if they don't, on the firing, we'll see. I personally think they should probably wait, just financially. It makes more sense. But we'll see what happens. And Husker Nation, if you want to watch a good football game too, I know this BYU Baylor game's heating up right about now. So I mean, it's disappointing, but things must move forward, and we'll see what happens here in the next coming weeks.
Schmitty and Will may have frozen.
Right. Well, I'm a pumpkin.
Seems like a fitting way to end the
past
night.
midnight, and I am well past my bedtime. So, good night. Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure. It's been real. It's been fun, but it ain't been real fun. So,
yeah. Guys, I'll close it here with this note. I do want to appreciate everyone for their comments, chiming in. It's been one of those nights everyone's had a reaction. I'll say it. I'm mad. You're mad. We're all a little bit mad about what this performance looked like here tonight. And maybe Schmitty's going to check back in one last time before we get out here. There is Schmitty back in. I guess, Schmitty, leave it on you.
No, we'll just wrap it up. Cotter, big thanks to you. Tim Bob, thanks to you. Will, big thanks to you. Elijah, thanks for jumping in. You're supposed to be your night off, Cowboy, but it's another what the hell moment in Nebraska football.
I wasn't going to miss this night.
We'll see where things go, and be sure to check us out on ESPN Lincoln at 9 Monday with Bill Hooks, Will Wilson, and then at 4 Central with Elijah and myself, Chris Schmidt. And again, we will be live and on air next Saturday afternoon.
We're taking calls
Real
again.
Ed Reaction streams, yes, and of course on ESPN Lincoln. But thanks to KFOR, Facebook and Twitter, 96 Kicks, Facebook, ESPN Lincoln, Facebook and Twitter, and you have the Real Red Reaction YouTube channel. We want you to subscribe to and check out. Be safe and count to 10. And the week starts out as it is Oklahoma week. Take care. Thanks for tuning in to your Alpha family stations and Real Red Reaction. Have a good one.